YouTube channel. So in this video we're going to look at biology paper 1. So if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, kindly do so that you don't miss when I upload videos. So these questions are very important as you are preparing for your exams. So we have question 1. Of course, these questions, they are not arranged in according to the ascending numbers. I've just gotten this question from different sources. So maybe one of these questions can come in an exam. So we just need to make sure that you understand as I'm explaining. So we have question 1, which is saying, which characteristic of living organisms is represented by gaseous or gas exchange in the alveoli? So alveoli or air sac, the ones which are found in the lungs. So there is the exchange of gases. So that one, maybe you're excreting carbon dioxide or you are inhaling oxygen. That is gaseous exchange in the alveoli. That is what usually happens. So that one is called excretion because you are excreting carbon dioxide and you are inhaling oxygen. So our answer is going to be A, which is excretion. When you talk of growth, it's just a permanent increase in the mass of a living organism. Nutrition is the process by which living organism obtain food. And then when you talk of reproduction, the process by which living organisms produce their offsprings or their young ones. Then as for question 2, saying which part of a plant controls the movement of substances into and out of the cell. So this one acts as a selectively semi-permeable membrane, which is the cell membrane as A. The cell wall provides the rigidity structure of a plant. The cytoplasm, that's the site for chemical reaction. Vacuum contains cell sap, that is sugar, salt and water. So it provides the hypertonic solution to the plant. Then for question 5, it is saying the diagram shows a part of a leaf in cross section. So we have part X, which is the parasite cell where the process of photosynthesis takes place mostly because it has abundant chloroplasts. So these are chloroplasts here that you can see. So these, they are arranged vertically. Then we also have spongy mesophyll cells, which are these. They also have the chloroplasts, of course. Even there, the process of fertilization takes place, but not that not to that compared of the parasite cells. We also have part Y, which is called the guard cell. So these are guard cells, and then this space here is called the stomata pore. So the stomata pore, that is where now the gaseous exchange takes place, like the oxygen enters, them say not oxygen entering, but the carbon dioxide enters the water leaf through the stomata. Then oxygen is going to come out of the leaf through the stomata. Apart from that one, you can also have water vapor, which is also going to come out through the stomata pore. So that is one thing that you need to know here. Now the question is saying structures X and Y are both part of the same. Is it the cell, organ, tissue, or vessels? So they are part of the same organ because these, they are just part of the leaf, and a leaf is an example of an organ in plants. So that is what you need to know on that part. So the next questions, we have this one, she's saying the diagram, just a minute. So we have this one, she's saying the diagram shows part of the human digestive system. So which part secretes an acidic digestive juice containing protease? So protease is an enzyme that digests proteins. And then this one is producing an acidic digestive juice. An example, it can be hydrochloric acid. So hydrochloric acid is produced by the stomach. The stomach also produces the intrinsic factors which are important for the absorption of vitamin B in the terminal ileum. We also have part A, which is the liver, involved in the different processes of metabolism. We also have the gallbladder, which stores bile. We also have pancreas, which produces the pancreatic juice, as well as the hormones like insulin and glucagon. We also have part D. So part D, it can be the jejunum, because this one can be the duodenum and this one can be the jejunum. So what is going to be the answers? The answer is going to be B, which is the stomach. Then we have the next question, which is saying the diagram shows a section through a villus. So these viewers, they are found in the small intestine. To be specific, they are found in the ileum, in the part of ileum, and other parts like the jejunum. Okay, so we have party A, we have party X, which is called the lacteal. So this part here is called the lacteal, and then this part is called the epithelium. So the epithelium and the lacteal also have the blood vessels, which are called the capillaries or the capillaries. Okay, so in terms of the functions of this, the lacteal involves in the absorption of glycerol. So it absorbs the glycerol as well as the fatty acids. So fatty acids and glycerol. Then apart from that one, we also have the capillary, which are involved in the absorption of the amino acids as well as glucose. Then for the epithelium, they are involved in the secretion as well as protection, the secretion of mucus as well as production of enzymes. So these, they can produce enzymes which are called the blush border enzymes. So they can secrete enzymes as the blush border enzymes, as well as producing mucus or mucin, if you want, produce mucin or mucus. So now the question is saying, what is the function of the structure X and of structure Y? So for structure X, that is absorption of fatty acid as well as glycerol. So where is fatty acids? Absorption of amino acid, no. Transportation of fatty acids, which are fats, yes, and also secretion of enzymes, which are blush border enzymes, by Y. So the answer is just going to be C. Okay, then let's see the next question. So the next question is saying, what is least likely to result from deforestation? So when you say least, something which is likely not to happen when a certain thing happens. So when deforestation happens, which one of these is not going to likely to happen? So you know to say that when deforestation happens, it is going to lead to the increase in flooding. But when it comes to increase in species, how? Because here, when deforestation happens, you're going to find that maybe, the trees are going to be cut down, meaning to say there will be destruction of the habitat, meaning to say the animals won't have the habitat where to live. As a result, there will be the reduction in the species. So meaning to say this one is going to be the answer. Loss of habitat, meaning to say loss of the natural home for animals. This one can happen due to deforestation, as well as loss of soil, which can lead to soil erosion. Then for the second one is saying, what could prevent a species from becoming endangered? What could prevent a species from being endangered? So number one, captivity breeding program, as well as climate change, introduction of other species, pollution. So climate change cannot prevent the species from being endangered. Introduction of other species cannot also prevent species from being endangered. Climate change, let's say for example, the climate change when there is a lot of rain or there is no rain, meaning to say these animals won't have water to drink. As a result, you are going to find that there will be reduction in the animals, or say the certain species. As a result, you are going to find that the animals are going to be endangered. But when it comes to introduction of other species, let's say for example, you know that let's say for example, if the Kafue National Park has a lot of antelopes, then you introduce a lot of lions, meaning to say you have more predators than the prey, which are the antelopes. The prey are the antelopes, and the predators are the what? Are the lions. At the result, you're going to find that the antelopes are going to be endangered. Then when it comes to pollution, this one is just self-explanatory. When you talk of pollution, it can be air, land, as well as water pollution. So if water is polluted, the river or the water is going to be contaminated. As a result, you're going to find that the animals are going to be affected. But when you talk of captivity breeding program, you introduce like game ranching, as well as game parks to protect endangered species, as well as arresting or stopping illegal poaching in that way. So the answer is just going to be A in this way. Then in the next question, we have this one, which is saying, what is as a result of what is as the result of a diet lacking iron. So when iron is lacked in the diet, what is going to happen? So lack of iron in the diet can result to anemia, and anemia is just a condition where a person lacks iron in the blood. As a result, there is reduction in the number of red blood cells. But anemia can be of different types. Can have relative polycythemia as well as absolute polycythemia. Where there is, when you talk of polycythemia, there is an increase in the number of red blood cells. Okay, so these, they can be classified as absolute as well as absolute, relative as well as absolute. So let's, for example, if there is reduction in the number, or if there is reduction in the plasma volume, that is when there is reduction in the plasma volume, meaning to say there is increase in the number of what red blood cell relative to the reduction of plasma volume. We also have absolute polycythemia, where there is an increase in the number of red blood cells due to overproduction or maybe the secretion of hormones like erythropoietin. So now, since there is lack of iron, meaning to say there will be reduction in the number of red blood cells, meaning to say the answer is going to be C. Of course, you can think of poor wound healing, but this one deals with platelets. Then weak bones and teeth, this deals with lack of calcium as well as vitamin D. Okay, so for the second one, it is saying the diagram shows part of the alimentary canal. Which structure produces lipase? Or which structure produces lipase? So we know to say that this is the gallbladder, the one which stores bile. Then this is the liver, which is involved in the determination, or in short, in the metabolic processes. Then also have pancreas, which is involved in secretion of lipase. So meaning to say the answer is going to be D. Let me say the answer is going to be C. For D, this one is the descending colon, which is involved in the reabsorption of water as well as electrolytes, like sodium and chloride. And then we have the second one, which is saying the photomicrograph. Micrograph shows a cross section through a buttercup root. So we have structure Z, which is so as you can see, this one here is the like a star-shaped structure. So this one is called the xylem. So Z is called the xylem. So in the xylem, that is when the transportation of water takes place, as well as provide the mechanical support to the plant. Then these structures here, these ones here, these ones here, these are called the phloem cells or phloem vessel. So this is the phloem. So the function of the phloem, let me just do this. So the function of the phloem, it is to transport or translocation of manufactured foods. So this is the phloem. That is the transportation of manufactured foods like amino acids as well as sucrose. So sucrose is the form of carbohydrates, the carbohydrate in which the form in which carbohydrate is transported in plants. So meaning to say Z is involved in the transportation of water as well as providing mechanical support, and this one for translocation of manufactured foods. So what is the function of the tissue labeled Z, which is xylem? So I'm just going to say transport water. Okay, let's see the other questions. So the next question is saying the diagrams represent an enzyme molecule and its substrate. So which diagram shows these molecules after they are heated to 100 degrees Celsius? So you know to say that the normal temperature for the enzyme to work properly, it is 37 degrees Celsius, or we can say 35 degrees Celsius to 37 degrees Celsius in the normal human being, or in the human being in short. So one thing that you need to understand is that beyond 37 degrees Celsius, as you can say, this is 100 degrees Celsius, meaning it is exceeding 37 degrees Celsius. The enzyme is going to undergo naturalization. Now, one thing that you need to understand here is that enzyme has two parts. That is this part here, which is called the active site, where the substrate binds. So this is the substrate. So this is where now the substrate binds. So this is the active site, and the other part is called the allosteric site. So now what is going to happen is that when an enzyme undergoes naturalization, the active site is going to be disturbed. Therefore, the active site is going to change its shape, and as well as the allosteric site is going to change its shape. Therefore, the substrate is not going to bind there. So what is going to happen here is that there will be the change in the structure of the active site, as well as the products are going, the substrate, can say, they are going to be broken down. So as you can see here, there is a change in the structure of the substrate, as well as the change in the structure of the active site. So as you can see, this one can't bind here. This one here is a normal way reaction which can happen at 35 or 37 degrees Celsius. But when it comes to this one here, of course this one is a normal, it's a reaction, but this one can't happen because the active site, or let me just say, this one can happen because the active site is same to that of what? The substrate. The shape of an active site is same to that of what? The substrate. So this one can happen, even this one can happen, even this one can happen, and this is the way it has ended. From here, once this one has bind to an active site, it is going to form a enzyme substrate complex, which is this one here, and then the products are going to be formed like this. So this is the normal way, the way the reaction occurs from here to here and then to here. But as you can see here, there is a change in the active site. There is a change in an active site due to the increase in the temperature. So the active site has changed the shape. As a result, you're going to find that the substrate can't bind on this active site. So meaning to say the answer is going to be C. This is because the enzyme is undergoing denaturization. Then we have the second question, which is saying the graph shows the effect of changing light intensity on the rate of photosynthesis in a plant at two different carbon dioxide concentrations. So we have high carbon dioxide concentration, also have low carbon dioxide concentration, light intensity, as well as the rate of photosynthesis here. So what statement is correct? So we have A, which is saying at low intensity, carbon dioxide is a limiting factor, which is correct. This is because at this point here, you're going to find that when carbon dioxide is low, meaning to say that even the rate of photosynthesis is going to be low. The concentration of carbon dioxide, the R related to photosynthesis, as well as the light intensity. Okay, then from there now, I'm saying this is A, so meaning to say these other options are wrong. So we have the second one, she's saying the diagram shows a developing fetus or fetus. Where does gaseous exchange or gaseous exchange between mother and fetus occur? So we have this one here, which is the placenta, and this one here is the chorion villi. Let me see. Is it this one, chorion villi? Let me see. Yeah, this one is the chorion villi. This is because of this structure here, which is the placenta, and this one is the umbilical cord. But I'm not saying these are the answers or this is the answer. And this is the amniotic fluid. So one thing that you need to know here is that the gaseous exchange takes place at the placenta villi. So where are we having the placenta villi? So the placenta villi are found here. This is where the placenta villi are found, at the chorion. So meaning to say the answer is going to be C. So you can choose A. No. A is the umbilical cord, and this one acts as a passage for nutrients as well as other products when gaseous exchange has taken place. So that is one thing that you need to know on that part. So we have also the second question here. Let me just bring it back. Okay, so we have this question here, which is saying Dilip and Shabnam made 4 statements about themselves. So Dilip and Shabnam, so we have I'm a boy, I'm a girl, I'm 150 centimeters tall, I'm 153 centimeters tall, I'm not very good at games, I'm good at games. We have my blood group is A, my blood group is AB. So which characteristics describe which statement describe characteristics that show discontinuous variation? So when you talk of discontinuous variation, you talk of things where there is a clear cut. There is a clear cut between living organisms of the same species. So to remember what discontinuous variation is, you can talk of things that does not change no matter what. So you can change to, if someone is a boy, meaning to say is a male. If someone is a girl, meaning to say it's a female. Okay? So no matter what, you can't change. A male can change. You can't say, no, I want to be. A male can say, I want to become a female. So this, they can't change. In short, gender can't change no matter what. Unless you undergo surgery. Now we are talking of surgery. Those are probabilities. So that one should be part of our answer. So gender doesn't change. So it's part of discontinuous. But when you talk of continuous variation, you talk of things that can change, like height. Those things can change. Body mass, complexion. But when you talk of discontinuous, like the eye color can't change. If you don't know how to roll the tongue, you can't. Then apart from that, you can choose also blood group. So if you have blood group B, no matter what, you can change to blood group A, unless they drain all the blood and then they put the different blood group, and that one you're talking of the probabilities. So that one can't work. So meaning to say, the one which is showing discontinuous variation is number 1 and number 4. As a result, the answer is going to be B. The second one is just the same. And I think this one you can just try. Okay. The bar chart shows the percentages of a human population with each type of blood, with the blood group, and the percentages of the cattle population with and without ons. So of course this one is going to show discontinuous variation because we're talking about blood groups, and this one is going to show continuous variation because we're talking about the ons having or without having. Someone can be light in complexion, someone can be dark in complexion. So you can or you can't have. That is continuous variation. So what type of variation is shown in each population? For human population, we're talking of this, that is discontinuous variation, and that is discontinuous variation. So the answer is that's going to be C. Okay. The second one is saying the variety of snail has an inherited condition that affect the thickness of the shell. So we have this one that is having a thick shell, and then this one having a thin shell, and this one do not survive. So two heterozygous snails are matched. What is the probability that a surviving snail of the next generation is heterozygous? So we need to cross this one and another one with having the same one. So to make our work easy, I'm going to use a Punnett square. So we are going to have this one here with that. Now let me just do this. Okay, so we have these. And just do this, we have these. So here we have a T, then here we have N. We have a T, then we have N. So I'm just going to use Punnett square, then see what we are going to have. Okay, so in this one crosses with this one here, we are going to have S, T, S, T, then S, T, S, N. Then here S, T, S, N. Then here SN, SN. Now according to this question, it is saying what is the probability that a surviving, so we're talking about surviving here, snail of the next generation is heterozygous. So which one is heterozygous here? The heterozygous is this one here, where we are having T and N. So we have how many T and N? We have 1, 2. So that is 50%. So how do you express 50%? So you say we have 2 over 4. 2 offsprings are heterozygous, and the total number of offsprings, they are 4. Then if I divide, I'm going to get 0.5. So if you want to express it in form of percentage, you multiply by 100%. As a result, you're going to get 50%. But according to the answers that we have here, this one is going to be the answer. Okay. So that is one thing that you need to know here. Then the second one is saying the diagram shows a potato plant reproducing asexually by tubers. So these are tubers producing by asexually. So 4 observations were made about potato plant. Number 1, there is no parent plant. Yes. Number 2, the tuber are attached to the parent. Correct. Number 3, the tubers are genetically identical to the parent, which is correct. Then number 4, the tuber store food, which is correct. Now, which of these observations describe asexual reproduction? Which one of these describe asexual reproduction? Number 1, for asexual reproduction, you're going to find that the tuber is going to be, of course, yeah, they're not going to be, they are going to be identical to the parent. That is one thing that you need to know. Apart from that one, there is one parent, which is correct. Then the tubers are attached to the parent, which is also correct. Now, which one are we going to choose here according to what usually happen under asexual reproduction? Number 1, always the tubers come from the parent, which is there is one parent plant, which is correct. Then apart from that one, these offsprings, they have to be identical to the parent, which has to be 1 and 3. But when it comes to the attachment, they can attach, of course, but they should come from the parent, and they should be identical to the parent for them to be attached. They should, of course, they store food, but they can also store food when they detach from the parent. Now, the most likely to be the answer here has to be they come from the parent and they are identical to the parent, which is A. Then for the second one, when is ovulation most likely to occur? So in talk of ovulation, so menstruation or menstrual cycle is divided into 3 phases. Number 1 is menstruation, that is from day 1 to day 5 or day 7. Then from day 7 to day 14. Day 14, that is where ovulation takes place. Then from day 14 to day 28. In this part here, that is where now a female is likely to have pregnancy. So now the question is saying, when is ovulation most likely to occur? So we have about halfway between the start of one menstrual and the next. Then the second one is saying, or B is saying, at the start of menstruation. No, this is where now the bleeding starts. So this is bleeding stage or shedding of blood stage. Then from 1 to 5 days before the start of menstruation, this is where now the shedding of blood takes place. Then from there now, from day 5 to day 7 days after the start of menstruation. So from day 5, of course, yeah, this one here, this period here, ovulation can occur up to 14. All right. So meaning to say, what is going to be our answer here is going to be D. Let's see the next questions. So the next question is, we have this one here, an interesting question. Let me just put it here. It is saying the temperature control of the body. Which types of neurons carry information from skin receptor to the brain and from the brain to the sweat glands? So from the skin is acting as a receptor here. So meaning to say we have to have sensory neurons which are getting the stimulus or which are sensing the stimulus. Then from the brain to the sweat gland, we have to have motor neurons which are going to cause the contraction of muscles to produce sweat. So meaning to say our answer here is just going to be C. Then the second one, what are the labels for the parts of the brain? So we have this one which is called the cerebellum, this one which is called cerebellum, and this one which is called the pituitary gland. So we have the pituitary gland, we have the cerebellum, and then this one is the cerebellum. So we are going to have C here. Then the second one is saying, what structures covers the pupil of a human eye? So we have to see the pupil. It's an opening part of the eye. So the pupil is covered by 2 layers or 2 structures. Number 1 is the conjunctiva as well as the cornea. So the cornea is just an outer part. But when you talk of the sclera is the white part of the eye. So it's not part of us, doesn't cover the pupil. So the sclera is not part of that one. So what are we going to have? We're going to have the conjunctiva as well as the cornea. It's a transparent part. Then the second one also is saying the diagram shows the fruits of 3 species of plants. So we have this one, and this one. So this one can be dispersed by animals because it has the hooks. It has the hook that can attach to the fur or the human cloth or the cloth. Then this one here, of course, it can also be dispersed by animals because it has these hooks. But this one here can be dispersed by just self-disperse, or we can say yeah, but this one can be dispersed by wind because here there is self dispersion of these bonds here. So we have PQ and R are maps showing where the parent plants and their seedlings are growing. So according to what we have here. So this one here, the one which is at the center here, is the parent. This one here is the parent, as well as this one is the parent. And it is showing how these seedlings are growing. So which one here is showing this? So for P, it has to be this one here, which is number 1, because for this one, it is not showing the most suitable way of expanding to, or of dispersing to different parts, like dispersing far apart from the parent. So it's closer to the parent because just have these hooks, and once it is dispersed by the animals, that is when it can reach these parts here or this surrounding here. So P, that is 1. So P, we have these 2. Then for Q, as you can see, for Q, this Q here, it is spreading. It is spreading like the way these seeds are spreading from the parent. So they are spreading out. So we can see that, of course, this one here, you need to be very, very careful. There is a spread here and here. This one can only displace when it hooks to the animal through the animal dispersor. So this one can be animal dispersor, and this one here can occur through the spread. So they are spreading. So meaning to say, this one is going to be 2 and this one is going to be 3. So we have 1, 2, 3. Okay, so meaning to say, this one is going to be Q, this one is going to be R. As a result, our answer is just going to be A. Then we have the second one, which is saying, what is true for syphilis? So syphilis is caused by a bacteria. Then the symptom develops after some days or weeks. Yeah, and it is treated by the antibiotics. So meaning to say the answer is going to be A. But one thing that you need to understand here is that when syphilis remains untreated, this one can lead to madness as well as infertility in some cases. So it's very bad. Then other questions, we have this one here, which is saying, which will describe the functions of the bladder, kidneys, as well as the liver. So in the production of urea, so urea is made where? Is made in the liver through the germination of amino acids. So you can say liver. Then what about the excretion of urea? The excretion of urea is carried by the kidney, and the storage of urine is carried by the bladder. So meaning to say the answer is going to be C. Then the second one is saying, the diagram shows a reflex arc. Which label points to the sensory neuron? Okay, so the sensory neuron always is found on the receptor site. So the skin on the hand here is having the receptor which are able to detect the stimulus. So meaning to say, this one here, the hand is the one which is containing the sensory neurons. Then for A, this one contains the relay neuron. Then here we have the motor neuron. Of course, we also have the relay neuron here as well as the motor neuron or interneuron. And this is the motor neuron here, the one which causes now the muscles to contract. So this one is saying the diagram shows the structure of the eye, which structure reflects light. So the reflection of light takes place here so that you are able to see at the retina, or let me say at the fovea centralis we have seen. So this part here is called the retina, the black part, which is able to reflect light. Okay, we also have the lens, we also have these muscles here, and then also have this part here which is called the cornea. Okay, so ciliary muscles and other muscles. So which disease can be caused by tobacco smoking? So tobacco smoking causes the chronic obstructive pulmonary diseases like asthma, let me say like asthma, bronchitis, all those things. So meaning to say the answer is just going to be chronic obstructive pulmonary diseases, not cholera, not HIV, not scurvy. Then this one is saying, what is formed when the nucleus of a sperm fuses with the nucleus of an egg? So what is formed is going to be the zygote. Then the last question, it is saying 2 Aquilina tanks are set up as shown. So we have the tank X containing animals and plants. Then we have tank Y containing only animals. Then the question is saying, after a week, all the animals in tank Y show signs of distress. This was because the animals have run out of carbon dioxide, food, nitrate, oxygen. So they have run out of food. Of course, this one is providing the bubbles and the like. But one thing that you need to know here is this. Oxygen is diffusing. Even here, oxygen is diffusing as air bubbles here. So oxygen is there. So we can't say oxygen is not there. So this one has to be not there. This one has to be not there because oxygen is being provided here through these bubbles here. Nitrate, of course, is there because of the soil. So what they run out of is what? Food. So these snails, or these snails, they are eating on aquatic plants and animals. So meaning to say the answer is going to be B. Then the last question is saying, which substance are needed in the diet to prevent scurvy, or let me say rickets? So that is calcium as well as vitamin D. So meaning to say the answer is going to be B. So thank you very much for watching, and remember to subscribe for more videos like this.